Around half the mortgages in Australia's $1.7 trillion mortgage market are written by brokers, incentivised to write the biggest loan possible. The more banks lend, the higher property prices go and the more money they make. It's been a virtuous circle.
I mean, there's so many good points in this report. Next report I'm going to show you that you're definitely going to watch it till the end. The more the banks lend and the brokers lend, the more money they make, the more the property goes up. So as we've talked before, the more you put the fuel on the fire, the higher the fire grows and burns. So this is no different. It's only a matter of time before this hits home, and those mortgages that were given to people that weren't supposed to get them will go underwater, and what will happen to the underlying asset, which is in this case housing, property, is no prizes for guessing what happens to those. Now the sound bites of this report are just remarkable. I mean, all you need to do is listen to them. Listen to this one.
Money laundering, financial planning rip-offs and market manipulation. They're all damaging scandals which have taken a toll on the reputation of the banks. But the potentially more destabilising and costly problem of irresponsible lending could soon be laid bare by the Banking Royal Commission and court action. Money laundering, financial planning rip-offs and market manipulation.
Now, they surely are not talking about that's something that happens in our brilliant, beautiful country of Australia, right? The first world country. Market manipulation, money laundering, they're surely not talking about it. Let's see, maybe they are.
They're all damaging scandals which have taken a toll on the reputation of the banks. But the potentially more destabilising and costly problem of irresponsible lending could soon be laid bare by the Banking Royal Commission and court action. Royal Commissioner Kenneth Hayne has singled out lax lending as a key issue when the inquiry gets underway in less than 2 weeks. It's a practice made possible by the reckless overstatement of incomes on loan applications.
Reckless overstatement of income on the loan applications. In America, they call them ninja loans, no income, no job loans. Here they call them liar loans. But keep watching, it gets better.
A phenomenon suggested by the bank's own numbers on the incomes of their customers. Here's finance correspondent Philip Lasker.
Meredith Campbell has been battling her lender Bankwest for years.
Even with my joint income with my partner, we both could not pay the loan. I went to 4 lawyers in the last 11 years and each lawyer said I was set up for bankruptcy.
The 54-year-old hairdresser had 2 properties with a former partner, including her house. She says that without her consent, the bank included her house as security over the other property, which lost 50% of its value.
Hold on. And she had 2 properties, if I'm getting this right, and one of the properties lost 50% of the value. Now, is this property that lost 50% in the value in Australia? I think it is, but let's keep watching.
The bank now wants both properties, leaving Meredith in a predicament she should never have faced.
I think very soon the bank's not going to want any properties when the backside falls out of it, in my opinion.
The broker wanted to push the loan through, but if the bank had have checked our income details correctly, the loan wouldn't have been approved.
Income, shincome, who cares? It's just income, it's just money. Come on.
It's like something out of The Big Short, a film focusing on events leading up to America's housing market collapse, when hedge fund investors questioned mortgage brokers about loans.
So do applicants ever get rejected? Seriously? Look, if they get rejected, I suck at my job.
I don't get it. Why are they confessing?
They're not confessing. They're bragging.
Analysts.
Alright, this is a great movie. I mean, if you're watching this and you subscribe to this channel, you must have seen The Big Short. It's the best movie ever when it comes to financial markets and the fraud and the global financial crisis. I strongly recommend it.
Martin North says if the Royal Commission does its job, it'll uncover a problem far bigger than any of the bank scandals exposed to date.
If you look at all the data that's out there, a considerable number of loans that have been written by the banks in recent years should not have been written. And so I think it's fair to say that irresponsible lending is indeed endemic.
Around half the mortgages in Australia's $1.7 trillion mortgage market are written by brokers, incentivised to write the biggest loan possible. The more banks lend, the higher property prices go and the more money they make. It's been a virtuous circle.
We're seeing a lot of households who are actually getting loans at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times income. That is astronomically high and, in my mind, will lead to grief later.
Analysing data from the banks, the tax office and the census, investment bank UBS concluded lenders reported an unrealistically big proportion of high-income customers, which was inconsistent with income groups highlighted by the ATO or the census data.
I have seen some analysis which points out that if you were to have a look at the bank's credit underwriting practices, it must imply that everyone in Australia earns a ridiculous amount of money.
The bank's numbers also suggested an absurd 42% of households earning at least $500,000 per annum took out loans last year alone.
So 42% of people who took out a mortgage loan last year or were making more than $500,000 a year income. That clearly is not true, to put it politely.
Royal Commissioner Kenneth Hayne has identified irresponsible lending as a key issue, and the regulator ASIC is pursuing Westpac over alleged breaches of responsible lending laws.
If a bank has provided credit to someone that can't reasonably pay it back, then the whole contract can be voided. So what that basically means is that it suddenly goes from being the borrower's problem, potentially being the bank's problem.
And that opens a Pandora's box. The Royal Commission and ASIC's case against Westpac will enhance our understanding of what constitutes irresponsible lending.
So irresponsible lending, this is actually a very good point, that if you were lent money that clearly you shouldn't have been given, you can turn around and get the lawyers and get the bank in court and say, you clearly shouldn't have given me this money, but you did, so now you end up holding the bag. It's not my responsibility to pay it back. Bank, you need to deal with it. This is interesting. This is really a Pandora's box.
Which could trigger a proliferation of legal action.
I don't think the lending standards in the banks morphed quickly enough to the new situations. I think the regulators were very slow to come and bring to bear pressure on the market. So there is a big slug of loans that I think you would say were unsustainable and therefore unsuitable.
And you know what? This takes us to the next point, is that if you are going to invest in the stock market, which I suggest that very soon is going to be a good opportunity, don't buy banks. Because I think banks have had their share of boom. It's time for them to go bust. And I think this time the government's going to allow it to happen. So don't be a bank share owner, and probably don't be a large depositor. But then, you know, how can you have the cake and eat it too? Meaning that if we are saying to keep your cash for the opportunity to buy a property when it goes belly up, the market, well, I'm just saying don't have the money in the bank. So to be honest with you, I don't know what you can do with your money, but that's really up to you. I'm not a financial advisor, but yeah, so don't invest in property, don't buy bank shares, and don't keep the cash in the bank. I suppose the only other option is to invest in the stock market, just not the bank shares.
Morris Blackburn lawyer Josh Menon is seeing a growing number of victims.
And when we have a look under the bonnet and see the credit that they've been given based on their income and their expenses, the lack of surplus income that they have, we believe that they have legal cases.
A UBS survey concluded that 1 in 3 people submitted inaccurate mortgage applications, so-called liar loans that could be worth $500 billion. Meredith Campbell says she's in a world of pain because of other people's lies.
Now the bank said, well, we can just sell your house now, and you know, basically they're bullying me.
The Royal Commission and ASIC's court action may well see a shift in the balance of power.
Well, what can I say? Draw your own conclusion from all of this. It is trending to where I thought it was going to trend. It is not getting any better for the underlying asset of this scam, which was mortgage lending in Australia, and that underlying asset is Aussie housing. So make up your own mind. Hope you found this useful. I'll talk to you in the next video.